Hello.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm logging in live now.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Hello and good evening. I'm sorry we had a little technical issue. But we're back live now. So we're going to kick start everything as soon as possible. And thank you very much, guest for tonight, Mr. Mike Kobe, for joining us to discuss this important topic. We're going to discuss on the topic of stress. We all know stress. We always talk about stress. We always talk about uh, we being stressed, and yet we don't know the actual problem that brings about this stress. So this evening we have a professional here. And as you join us in, can you share and then invite other people to come on and learn as well? Good evening, Mr. Mike Kofi, and thank you for your time coming here to educate
Good
us on this
evening.
topic.
Good evening, Christiana. Thank you for inviting me. Hello. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. Am I loud enough? Hello. Hello.
Thank you for coming. Can you please introduce? Yes, you are.
Okay. It looks like there are some few delays with the communication responses, so I don't know. Am I loud enough? Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you
Okay,
now.
that's fine.
Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, good
Yeah.
evening, ladies and gentlemen who are listening to us. I'm Michael Kofi, a pharmacist who has been practicing for the past 24 years. And I'm also a holder of MBA and a member of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana. This evening, I'm here to speak to you on stress. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And when we talk about stress, what is stress?
Okay, we are going to look at stress as the body's physiological reaction for dealing with a threatening situation. Whenever the body is threatened in one way or the other, it evolves certain mechanisms to defend itself, either to fight or to take on its heels or flight. So, stress is a way of the body responding to any kind of demand or threat. And then when you sense danger, whether it's real or imagined, the body's defenses kick into high gear in a rapid automatic process known as the fight or flight reaction or the stress response. And this stress response is the body's way of protecting you so that in the event of maybe some danger, you don't run into that danger, but then you can retreat or react as the situation may demand. So, stress in itself is actually not a bad thing, but the persistence of it is what leads to pathological consequences.
Okay. So,
All
what
right.
causes this stress?
Yeah, stress can be caused by so many factors. Sometimes it's work related. In fact, the job that you are doing can put you under a lot of stress. And it's known that in
Hello?
America, about, hello, can you hear me? I was saying that
Hello, Mr.
stress
Mike. Can you
can,
hear me?
yes, I can. Hello, hello. Yes, I was saying that stress can evolve from various stimulus, or what we call stimuli. We
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, we
Can
we have work-related stress that constitutes in America, for instance, over 40% of all the stress cases that they record. Work-related stress. Unfortunately, for this part of our country, we've not been able to do any statistics to determine the percentage or the rate of stress related issues uh, relating to work. But America, for instance, they know that over 40% of Americans are stressed as a result of their work. Maybe they are unhappy in the job they are doing, or having a heavy workload, or too much responsibility, or working too long hours, or having poor management with
yeah, we are listening. What causes stress?
yes, I was saying that stress could be as a result of your work that you are doing. So maybe you're unhappy with the job you are doing, or having a heavy workload, or too much responsibility, or working too long hours, or having poor management with unclear expectations of the work you are doing, or you don't have any say in the decision making process. Some of these can lead to stress at the workplace. And then sometimes working under dangerous conditions, or being insecure about your chance for advancement, or risk of termination of your appointment can lead to stress, or having to give speeches in front of even your colleagues. You are asked to do a presentation that can put a lot of stress on some people, or having or facing discrimination or harassment at the workplace, especially female staff who are being harassed by their male bosses to either demand certain things from them, like sleep with them before their promotion is due, can put a lot of stress on such people, especially when there are other superior officers who could have intervened to stop that particular manager from doing that kind of thing. But then they also are mute to it,
Okay.
can lead to a lot of stress. And then failure of a business thriving. Maybe you've opened a business and then it's not thriving, can also lead to a lot of stress. And then
Okay.
also what we call life work imbalance, or work life imbalance, where you think that you are devoting too much attention to the job at the expense of your family, especially a woman who has had a baby and has to leave the baby at home and go to work
Yeah.
for longer hours. And then the baby is not attended to by any person that can be very responsible. And then the mother feels a bit
Yeah.
worried at the workplace, can lead to what we call work life imbalance that can also generate a lot of stress. So these are some of the causes that will be related to stress when it comes to the workplace. But then we also have other causes that we call the life stresses that can also have a big impact on our lives, especially the death of a loved one can lead to a lot of stress. Maybe he's the sole breadwinner for the family and he passes. How are we going to cope from hence? It puts a lot of stress on his dependents. Then divorce, a man or a woman who feels so stressed because their partner has divorced him or her, can also lead to a lot of stress. And then loss of a job, especially in these COVID times where airlines are being grounded, and then pilots and then cabin crew members are all being asked to stay at home and they can't go and work. Some people have lost their jobs, hotels. and other such institutions are not working, and so their staff are home, they are not being paid. All this can lead to a lot of stress as a result of job losses. Then increase in financial obligations. Maybe you've lost your job, but your children's school fees still have to be paid. How are you going to make the money to pay for such fees? So that also puts a lot of stress on the person. Then getting married, as for example, can also lead to a lot of stress. I remember that when I was about a week to having my wedding, uh, I had some serious asthmatic attack as a result of the stress that I was going through in my preparation towards my wedding. And many other people have similar experiences. Stress puts them down. They even fall sick before their wedding day because of all the activities they have to put in place before the day itself approaches. Then pregnancy can put a lot of stress on some people. In fact, there are so many complications that some women suffer from when it comes to pregnancy, but stress is one such. And then they actually don't come to terms with reality. They don't keep themselves well. You might think that they are getting abnormal or insane, but it's not. But the stress that the pregnancy is putting on them is making them react in that way. Menopausal women go through a lot of stress because suddenly their system is giving way. There are hot flashes. They have certain palpitations, and then a whole lot of things going on in their minds, sweating profusely, and all those things can lead to a lot of them having stress. And then moving to a new home, packing and unpacking, and all those things can put a lot of stress on some people. And then recently, you heard that the MPP had their primaries, and some people who were aspirants lost their the elections, and such issues can lead to a lot of stress because they might have spent a lot of energy, a lot of money trying to make sure that they win, and then they lose, and they are so worried and stressed. So that can also put them in a very serious situation. And also chronic illness or injury. When people are diagnosed with chronic illnesses like a cancer, like diabetes, hypertension, and other chronic situations, you see that people become so much stressful. Why me? Why am I going through all these things? And then it puts them in a lot of stress. Then emotional problems, such as feeling of guilt or anxiety or grief or depression or low self-esteem, can also put people into a state of stress. Then taking care of an elderly or sick member of the family, as happened to me some years back when my mom, for instance, had a stroke. And as an only child, I had to carry her to the hospital, carry her to the physio, carry her to various places where she needed attention. And all was dependent on me and sometimes my wife. It became very, very stressful. Then traumatic events such as natural disasters, maybe floods have occurred, and then people have lost property and all that, uh, can also lead to a lot of stress. Then rape, a woman who has been raped and is so much distraught about the whole thing. Whenever they even think about it, they get into a stressful mood. And also theft. Recently, a friend of mine had her house burgled, and then her laptops and all sorts of things, phones, money were taken away, and she was so much stressed. And then violence against you or a loved one. Maybe somebody, a husband brutalizing a wife who is your sister or relative, can also put you in a state of stress. Then unrealistic expectations. Sometimes we also give ourselves too much expectations that can lead to stress. We want to get everything right, but as humans, we can't always get everything right. So we have to allow room for certain negatives that can come. But then some people can accept it and then they get into a stressful situation. If I had done this or done that, maybe it would have been better, leading to a lot of stress. Then social media pressures. Some women are now watching telenovelas and other things on social media and also television, and then they want their husbands to treat them like that. Somebody said, my husband is not romantic. All along they have been living here. She never realized the husband wasn't romantic until she started watching certain telenovelas. And they think that that is the real life to live. So it puts a lot of them under stress because of such social media pressures. And then envy and jealousy about other people's wealth. or fortune or wedding that they had or property, and you also want to do same, when all the fingers are not equal, can also lead to a lot of stress. So these are some of the causes of stress, as I can say for now. But there are so many others which you can also contribute to. But in a nutshell, these are some of the causes of stress that I can tell you now. Yes, Christine, have I answered you? Hello? Hello? Or I should continue? Hello? Okay, if I should continue, then what are some of the effects of stress on our health? Well, when you are in a stressful situation, your body launches a physical response and your nervous system spring into action, releasing hormones that prepare you either to fight or flight. And that is the body's way of dealing with the stressful situation. You may notice that during stress, your heartbeat becomes much faster, your breathing gets faster, your muscles become tense, and you start to sweat. This kind of stress is short term and temporary, and that your body usually recovers quickly from it. But if your stress system stays activated over a long period of time, then it leads to what we call chronic stress, and it can lead to or aggravate more serious health problems. The constant rush of stress hormones can put a lot of wear and tear on your body, causing some people to age more quickly and making it more prone, your body more prone to illnesses, because then your immune system also gets depressed as a result of the stressful situation that you find yourself in. So during stress, there are two things that happen. First of all, we have excitation of some of the chemicals that are released called the hormones in your body. And the principal neuro transmitter that causes excitation is called glutamic acid or glutamate. When this glutamate is released, it causes you to start reacting, okay, or becoming excited. But after some time, its effect should be abolished by the release of another compound called GABA. This gamma aminobutyric acid or GABA is actually a conversion of this glutamic acid by vitamin B6 and other B group vitamins to that compound called GABA. And this GABA now stops the hyper-excitation that the glutamic acid has put your body into. Then, when there is an imbalance between these two chemicals, then it leads to stress. There are other neurotransmitters such as acetylcholine, adrenaline, dopamine, noradrenaline, and serotonin. That is the happy hormone, serotonin, that are also released during stress. But then the principal one is called glutamic acid or glutamate. And then it is balanced by what we call GABA. Can you hear me? Hello? 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 Okay, if I should continue. Hello? Hello, Christiana. Should I continue?
Hello. Yeah, continue, please.
Okay, so stress can lead to a lot of illnesses.
Yes, please.
Yes, stress can lead to a lot of illnesses. I've already spoken about the acute stress that initially you can have. But when it persists, it leads to what we call chronic stress, which can aggravate serious health problems, because a lot of hormones that your body will release will cause wear and tear on your body. And some people age quickly. Some of the stress related illnesses could be persistent headaches. So if you realize a lady whose boyfriend has jilted her suddenly starts experiencing severe headaches, okay, and then some are fatigued as a result, difficulty in breathing because then your hormones that are released, especially the agonists like adrenaline, will cause you to be breathing much faster, and so your breathing might not be well coordinated. Difficulty in concentrating, upset stomach, fatigue, irritability are some of the common illnesses that are related to stress. But when stress becomes long term and is not properly addressed, it can lead to a number of serious health conditions, including depression,
Okay.
high blood pressure, arrhythmias or abnormal heartbeat, hardening of your arteries, which is called arteriosclerosis. And you know that hardening of your arteries may also lead to stroke. So you see that some people have been so stressed and then suddenly they have strokes. And now younger people are getting strokes. People as young as 25, 30, 35 are getting strokes. And some of these could be stress related. Certain heart diseases like hypertension, heart attacks, heartburns that people experience after eating could all be related to stress. Ulcers, irritable bowel syndrome. Some people have stomach cramps all the time and constipation and diarrhea and weight gain or loss. Some people lose weight. Some people gain weight during stress. And the reason is that when your concentration,
Okay.
you want to take your mind off the stressful situation, you want to engage in other
So,
activities that will help to reduce that stimulus. And so you tend to eat more because
okay.
there's a hormone in the sympathetic system that induces also appetite. So you end up eating more, and especially sugar containing foods. And then some also have
Oh, wow.
more thoughts on the stressful situation, and so they can't concentrate on anything. So they can't even eat, leading to weight loss. So it is either way. Either you tend to eat more during stress, or you tend to eat less during stress, leading to either weight loss or weight gain. Others have fertility problems. Stress can lead to fertility problems. A lady who is so anxious to have babies will start becoming so stressful, and then it blocks hormones that are fertility related. And so the stress hormones rather take over the body. And so you are unable to even conceive. And for males, it can lead to changes in your sex drive, and even for females. Because you are so stressed, your husband comes to you and you even want to throw him away or kick him somewhere. Your wife comes near you, you don't have that edge, and so you don't even have an erection, leading to marital problems. And then there are flare-ups of asthma and also arthritis as a result of stress. Skin problems such as acne. You see that some people are stressed and they develop acne on their faces. Eczema and psoriasis are all skin conditions that are stress related. And in
Okay.
severe situations, people can get into strokes, anxiety, depression, and suicidal tendencies. Some people become suicidal when stress persists, and some people become alcoholics because they want to drink and then forget their problems. Then they
Okay.
wake up from their sleep after drinking, they realize that the problem is still there. They go to drink just to forget their
Oh,
problems, and then they
wow.
become alcoholics at the long run. And then some become drug addicts and substance abusers. The re and other cocaines and other things could
Oh,
all be indulged
okay.
in, and then people become addicts. And then some cases can even progress into psychiatric situations as a result of stress. So one simple stress that one couldn't deal with has resulted in so many other consequences. And these are some of the things stress can lead us to.
Wow. Actually, oh, okay. Wow. Wow. So, yeah. Um, yeah. Okay. Okay. So a way that we can get rid of or we can control this stress naturally.
Yes, there are ways of controlling the stress, but let me not fail to also mention one particular thing that is leading a lot of people into stress before I come to the remedies to stress: the coronavirus disease. Coronavirus is now leading a lot of people. Hello, hello,
Hello. Hello.
hello, Christiana. Okay, so now coronavirus has come to a pandemic, and it's becoming a lot of stress to a lot of people because now it's eliciting a lot of fear and anxiety. It's a new disease, and people are overwhelmed by what is going on. Strong emotions in adults and children as well. And some people have become very, very paranoid. It has led to a lot of public health actions, such as social distances, that can make people feel isolated and lonely and can increase stress and anxiety. Now you have seen that a lot of airlines are not operating. So people in the airline industry are now losing their jobs. The hotel industry or the hospitality industry, people are being laid off because no one is coming in or going out. And so people are losing jobs. There are lockdowns, and news about deaths have led to a lot of stress in a lot of people. Now, these same people are supposed to pay
Yeah.
fees and also supposed to fend for their families and do all sort of things that they had been doing earlier when they were gainfully employed, leading to a lot of stress on such people.
Yeah.
And then their dependents, especially the children, don't understand what is going on. Now, people have found themselves in places they didn't even want to be because there have been lockdowns in Europe, there have been lockdowns in this country. My brother, for instance, is a victim. He came to Ghana on holidays from the UK, and now he's stuck there. His wife and two children are in the UK, and he can't go back.
It's that.
His
Yeah.
medication and all other things, he doesn't have them. He has to spend more money buying them and all sort of stress. Other people are elsewhere as well. They have left dependents at other places they didn't intend to. And then their dependents are worried because their needs are not being catered for. They are also worried because they don't know what is happening to them and then their families. So the coronavirus disease has brought in its wake a lot of stress to a lot of people. So continuing, you ask what we can do to reduce stress. The first thing to do is to stay calm. You stay calm
Yeah.
because you
Like
know that this
naturally.
too shall pass.
Yeah.
If you don't stay calm, then you'll be overwhelmed by the
Yeah.
stressful situation. Another thing people have said that it works, I have not tried it anyway, is break the bubble by chewing gum. Some people will be chewing gum and then they just blow it and then break the bubble, and then they enjoy doing it and it creates some fun. It's known to also take care of this stressful situation.
Okay.
And then some people also stay indoors when they are stressed. It's not good. Go outdoors and get close to nature. Go to maybe the seaside, see how the waves go up and come down, and know that just as the waves go up and they don't remain there, they come down, your stressful situation will also come down one day. And then you have to smile like you mean it and take the advice. Sniff some lavenders or nice flowers and perfumes. That also helps to take away some stress. And then listen to good music and also dance. You put in some music, maybe you have your children around. Hey, children, what's the new dance in vogue? They say, oh, it is this shaku shaku or something. Then you try to let them teach you. You are also dancing. It helps to take away the stress. And then take breathing in and out exercises, deep breath exercises, and also yoga. And these are also found to help to reduce stress. And be kind to yourself and give yourself a treat during stressful situation. Don't stay gloomy, but then go out there, spoil yourself small, go to the best restaurant you have never been, and then eat some good food or buy yourself a new phone with new features that you think you can play with, and it helps you to overcome some of the stressful situations. And also write down your thoughts, okay, and plan solutions to solve them. What is causing this stress? What are the solutions? What can I do about it? Once you've listed them down, you try to find ways of taking care of them. And take interest in reading. Reading novels or watching motivational and life changing movies can also help you to overcome the stress. And then talk to a good and trusted friend or seek counseling. If you think that you are being overwhelmed by the stress, talk to a counselor or talk to your pastor or someone you trust who can keep secrets, and that will also help you. For those who are religious like myself, you can resort to reading your Bible and trusting in your God and praying and knowing that God is going to take care of you and that you will be able to overcome the stress. Those who are Muslims can also read their Quran because it also tells them about certain truths about stress and how to overcome. So I believe that we can all depend on our God to help us solve these problems. Now, I can also say that there are certain foods that you have to avoid when you are stressed because they aggravate your stressful situation, especially white sugar. White sugar can lead to more stress. And then ice cream, pastries, desserts, and chocolates containing too much sugar can all lead to more stress and obesity. So you try to avoid them. Then white carbohydrates, such as white rice, you try to minimize white rice, you try to minimize yam, and also some of us, the fufu, we try to reduce it because the carbohydrates will also go to produce more energy, which will not be channeled into useful things, but then to help you to think more and then become stressful. Then alcohol. When you are stressed, try to avoid alcohol. Some people go and drink and say, I want to forget my problems. But you realize that the next morning, after the effect of the alcohol has waned, then you start having the bouts of problems again. Then you go and drink and you become an alcoholic. Again, avoid excess caffeine. Caffeine can lead to respiratory depression and also palpitations, irregular heartbeats. So you can help to reduce the intake of caffeine. And also processed foods would all lead to more stress and obesity and other conditions. If there are foods that can induce more stress, then there should be foods that can also help you to reduce stress. And so some of these foods that can help you to reduce stress are avocados and banana. Why? These contain serotonin, which I mentioned earlier as one of the neurotransmitters. And serotonin is known as the laughing neurotransmitter. It induces laughter. So because avocado and banana will contain serotonin, it helps to balance the stressful situation by making you more able to laugh, and so it helps. And then you also can take tea. Some types of tea can calm and frizzle nerves. With a soothing cup of your favorite tea blend, you can uh, be able to overcome the stress. Then Swiss chard is also known to help to reduce stress. And then fatty fish with omega-3 fish oils. I didn't say fatty meat, but fatty fish with omega-3 fatty fish oils also helps. And then carrots. Carrots. Carrots are known to also help to calm your nerves and reduce stress. And then yogurt. I like yogurt a lot, and I believe it is one of the reasons
Okay.
I'm able to sometimes overcome stress. Then there are some food supplements that will also help you to reduce stress. Some of them are Rhodiola rosea. Rhodiola rosea is actually a herb that is found in cold mountainous regions of Russia and Asia, and it is known to have properties that help to reduce stress.
Okay.
Then melatonin. Melatonin is also a very good stress reducer. And then glycine. There is this plant that has what we call it's called ashwagandha. Ashwagandha, and the Indians have it, and
Okay.
also some Chinese. Ashwagandha in some tea supplements like Nutralast. There's a tea called Nutralast contains ashwagandha, and I took some recently, and it was very good. It really calmed my nerves. If you get Neutralast, which contains
Yeah.
ashwagandha, I believe it will help you. And then L-theanine. L-theanine is also known
Okay.
to help you to reduce stress. Then complex vitamins also help to reduce stress. For instance, a supplement like BioVit Forte has B group vitamins that can help you to reduce stress. And there's also another
Okay.
B6 containing drug called gamalate B6, which is present here in Ghana as well. That contains GABA. What the glutamic acid that causes stress is converted to is present in that drug, GABA, and also B6 itself, which
Yeah.
also helps you to reduce stress. And also kava, the plant called kava is also known to help you to reduce stress. Now, there are certain other natural remedies that can help you to reduce stress, such as exercise. If you are stressful, you have to start exercising your body, and it helps you to produce the hormones that help to overcome the stressful situation. And then
Okay.
meditation. Meditation can help slow down your thoughts
Mm-hmm.
and making it easier to manage stress and anxiety. And then yoga also helps. Relaxation exercises, writing. Take to writing when you are stressed, and you'll be surprised you come out with a fantastic book about stress yourself. So writing. Then time management strategies. If your stress is time related, try and then adopt
Mm-hmm.
time management strategies that will help to reduce stress. And as much as possible, employers should also help their employees to reduce the workload on them, thereby also helping them to reduce their stressful situations. Then aromatherapy. Aromatherapy is known to be one of the natural remedies for stress. Then herb teas, as I've mentioned earlier, the one containing ashwagandha that I took recently was very, very good. So these are some of the ways in which we can reduce our stressful situations through natural and other means, medicinal and all the other means that we can use to reduce stress.
Okay. So this as on emotional stress, how to deal with emotional stress.
Yes, if it's got to do with emotion, maybe loss of a loved one or a boyfriend or a girlfriend that is jilting you or running away from you and all those ones, the best thing to do is to know that it will not be forever. So stay calm and seek counseling. If you know that the stressful situation is overwhelming you, seek counseling and don't isolate yourself from society. Try at that time to rather mingle, but make sure that no one actually exploits your situation that you are in. Take calm, be calm, and then smile. Try to spoil yourself, as I've said earlier, and then with reading and then watching motivational movies, I believe that you'll be able to overcome that stressful situation.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. The people who are stressed. And if so, what are they? And do they have any side?
Are there any specific? Come again, Christiana.
Medication. Are there any
Oh,
medication
medication
given to
that.
people who are stressed?
Oh,
And
yes. Uh,
yeah,
yes, like I said earlier, there are medicines that are given. We have the anxiolytics, but I don't want to go into that one too much because if it gets to that level, then it means that the clinicians have to come in. But then the normal ones, the natural ones that you can do are
come
those
in.
that I've enumerated.
Oh,
But we have anxiolytics, we have the benzodiazepines, we have all sorts of drugs that we can take. But then I wouldn't want to mention them here for fear that people might go and start buying things that they are not supposed to buy without medical supervision. That's why I would want us to shelve it because if it gets to that stage, then it means that the person will need medical attention.
okay. So how do we deal with
Hello? Hello? Christiana, pardon me, can you come again?
yeah,
How do we, your question again, Christiana?
yeah, I said how do we deal with someone who is stressed and deal with someone who is stressed? How do we deal with someone who is
How do we deal with someone who is stressed? What you can do will be more of a supportive role. You see, stress is a state of mind. The person, depending on his ability to cope with the situation, might do either of two things, either to listen or not to listen. So you can just try and then speak to the person and try to motivate. Today, I've spoken to two people who are stressed. One of them is having family problems, the other has lost an election and is stressed. Each of them had a way I had to speak to them. So if you don't have the expertise to counsel people, don't just go and muddy the waters. Leave it with someone who can do it well. But if you are a counselor and you can help, then you counsel the person. Otherwise, you find somebody who can do it better to help and support that person. But you have to speak encouraging words to that person. Speak encouraging words to that person. For instance, the friend who has lost the election, I told him, you did very well. You lost by only 9 votes. It means that next time you have an opportunity. So don't get too much stressful. It is going to work next time around. There's light at the end of the tunnel. So stay calm. Things will be all right. And then I'm going to visit you later and then we talk further. I said so many encouraging words to him, and then he was calm and said, thank you. You have actually made my day. The other one who is traveling through family challenges, I spoke to him and then made him understand that, see, I use biblical quotations that even Joseph was hated by his brothers.
okay?
The one that the first murder that occurred in the Bible was between a brother and a brother. So don't be surprised. It can
Yeah.
happen. But then how you deal with it is what is
Yeah.
important. What was the end result of Joseph's story? His brothers came to bow before him, something they wanted to avoid or prevent. So, whatever God has said about you will surely come to pass, regardless of what another person is saying. You see, the way you communicate with the person will suit his mind and then heart and then make him able to cope with that stressful situation. So, it takes a lot of skill. and expertise to counsel somebody who is going through stress. I remember when I was in secondary, in the university second year,
Yeah.
and I was jilted by a lover. I mean, I was so stressful, I couldn't even concentrate. And it was God that saved me from not failing my papers, you see. But then I had friends who kept counseling me. Oh, Toski, you can go on. Don't worry. Better. My mom really played a very good role. You know what? When you finish school, better people will be coming chasing you like flies. So don't worry. And she was talking to me in a very nice way because I confided in her that I was going through this situation. But then I had her around to counsel me. So seek good counseling, and it will help you to overcome the stress.
Okay. So you spoke earlier on about stress leading to suicidal. What
Suicidal, yes.
makes it lead to people to that?
Yes, I said that during stressful situations, some hormones are released. The principal one is the principal neurotransmitter for stress is glutamic acid, which should be balanced by GABA. When there is persistence in the presence of glutamic acid, then the stress could lead to
Yeah.
anxiety. So it goes a step or a notch higher. Then, when the system is again overwhelmed, it can lead to depression. Then you lose
Yes.
touch with reality, and then you think that your whole world is apart, you are useless, and then the suicidal tendencies eventually come in. A lady was telling me this afternoon about a friend whose husband divorced her, and she was so stressed, she became depressed, and now she is a psychiatric patient because she wasn't able to deal with stress. Her whole mind and whole heart was in this marriage and the man. I'm not saying that people shouldn't get too much committed into relationships, but know that the person you are in their relationship with is human and is fallible and can disappoint. So I have told myself that in my life I've planned scenarios. What happens if I go and then I see that, for instance, God forbid, somebody is trying to chase my wife? Would I go and then shoot the person? No, because if I should shoot the person, I may end up in jail, and then that is it. I've lost the wife that I'm trying to protect. So in that case, my scenario is that I will try and then stay calm and then sit my wife down to know what it is that I am doing that she doesn't like, for which she's seeking attention elsewhere, and then try to make amends. So that is the scenario I have
Yeah.
planned. So if you don't have a backup strategy at the back of your mind, and then it is like your whole world is into something, and that thing falls apart, then you might think that your whole life has also fallen apart, and so it gives rise to all this overwhelming of your body by these chemicals or hormones that can lead you into suicide.
Yeah. Okay. Is it true that stress somebody feel nauseous?
Yes. You see, we have other chemicals that are released when one is stressed. I told you that the principal one is glutamic acid, but the others are adrenaline, dopamine, noradrenaline, and serotonin, and acetylcholine. Some of them are called parasympathetic uh, um, transmitters. And so they can, as some are inducing appetite, some are also suppressing appetite. If your appetite is suppressed and then acid accumulates in your stomach, then the tendency of the situation is that the acid will reflux into your upper GI, and the reflux of gastric contents into the upper GI can lead to stress, and it can lead to nausea. There's also another way, because your food is not digesting well. The food pools in your stomach for a long time because you are stressed, because certain chemicals that should be released to help with your digestion are not being released adequately because of the stressful situation. So food pools in the stomach and ferments, and the fermentation can also lead to nausea and sometimes vomiting.
Okay. 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 It's can you please wrap up in them on what to do, how to prevent this stress? I know we've talked about it on how people can control the stress, and then how they can live with it and everything, please.
How people can control stress. Christine, is that what you asked?
Yeah, and then if there's any advice,
Hello?
yeah.
Oh, any
Yeah, yeah,
advice? Well, what I have said is not exhaustive, but I believe that
yeah.
the principal thing is that having done all the foods that can help you to reduce stress, having taken all the 11 points that I gave about staying calm and breaking the bubble and then staying indoors, smiling, sniffing some lavenders, listening to good music, taking breathing and out exercises, being kind to yourself and spoiling yourself more, writing down your thoughts, and also talking to good and trusted people, and then trusting in your God. After doing all these things, I believe that you would have been able to overcome your stress. But if it still becomes persistent, then you seek medical advice as well, because then there could be more to it than what you are thinking. Maybe it has gotten to a stage where medicines should also come in to help to support you. Then your clinician can take over. So don't get too much overwhelmed by situations to put you into stress, and then it puts you into all these things that we have spoken about. Where you think that you are getting overwhelmed, seek counseling, seek advice, and then practice some of these things, exercises, and then eating well, avoiding white sugars and all those things, and then taking carrots, yogurt, and fatty fish and all those things. I believe that if you have done all these things with your avocado, ashwagandha, and all the things we have stated, I believe that you would have overcome them. But if it is becoming chronic and persistent, please seek medical advice. Then we, the doctors there, and then as the pharmacists, will be there
Okay.
to give you your medicines as the doctors also prescribe them, and counsel you on how to also help to avoid your stressful situations. So, in summary,
Okay.
what I can say is
Let's
that
come.
stress is a part of normal life. Without stress, you might not even be able to undertake certain ventures.
Okay.
If you are not stressed to move on, if you are not careful, you will stagnate. So stress
Oh,
itself is not a bad thing; it's a normal thing. But then,
okay.
persistent stress is what leads to pathological consequences.
Oh, okay.
And so, you help to reduce your stress by natural and medicinal means, and also exercises and others. You have to, what I have to leave with all of us, and we should all know, is that You
Okay.
have to manage your stress. Don't let your stress manage you. Manage your stress. Don't let your stress manage you.
Okay.
If you let your stress overwhelm
Okay.
you, you get
Okay.
into all these health problems that we have enumerated. I believe no one wants to have a stroke. I believe no one wants to have
Yeah.
hypertension. I believe no one wants to have
No.
diabetes and other chronic situations. So if you don't want this to happen to you, then
Yeah.
manage your stress. Don't let your stress manage you. Thank you.
Okay. There's a question. You spoke about white sugar. We should avoid white sugar. Does it mean that we can replace it with brown sugar or honey? What else can we
Yes.
replace it with? Are
Yes, in
sweetness also
stress, you
better,
avoid white
or
sugar
what else can we
because white
replace the white
sugar will
sugar with?
release calories. The white sugar will release more calories, which will be channeled into thinking and then more stress. The brown sugar has minimal content of
Okay.
the calories, and also honey is helpful. So eat less of the white
Thank you very
sugar,
much.
and then you
Thank you
can
so
replace it
much.
with honey
Our
or yeah, honey
brown
or the
sugar.
brown sugar. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Mr. Kofi, for your time this evening. We are really grateful for your time. I hope you've uh, educate us on this topic, stress, because we've always been living with stress on our daily lives. And I
Yes.
think we've learned a lot. He says, manage the stress, but don't let the stress manage you.
Yes.
On this note,
That is
I
the
say thank you
final
very
note.
much and thank you, viewers out there. Next week, same time, I'll bring you yet another topic on Yes to Healthy Life. And then I'll say a big thank you to Mr. Kofi again. Thank you again for coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Thank
see
you
you
for
next
having
week.
me. Right. Bye.